Welcome, everyone, to episode 73 of the Missing Pieces podcast. My name is Greg, and this is basically my audio journal in a podcast format. There really isn't much Lego to be had here as I'm learning more and more every week, and I should probably take this and change the name of the podcast and move it to a different channel just so there's no confusion there. But I feel like that's something that future Greg can handle because current Greg is already dealing with a lot. And I'm going to start this episode off keeping it very real with you guys, as though I don't keep it real with you guys. But as I got up today and knew that I was going to be doing this podcast, it was really hard for me to get up the ambition to want to do this. And it felt very strange for me because this is my favorite thing that I do every week. I tell you guys all the time, this is my favorite thing. And I'm like, Greg, why aren't you excited about this? Like, what's going on? And the more I thought about it, the more I'm just kind of feeling burnt out right now. And I feel embarrassed to even be saying that to you guys because I know there's a lot of people that are probably watching this and being like, Greg, how can you be burnt out? You do what you love to do for a living. And that's absolutely true. And that's why I'm so surprised by it. But this whole video making thing is really starting to wear me down. I don't know if it's that or if it's the winter and the weather and the lack of being able to do anything outside. The cloudy days, the snow. I don't know if it's everything all in one, but I'm just like feeling like really like, I got nothing left. And a part of that is probably because of my video upload schedule and what I do. I know there's a lot of full-time YouTubers out there that do what I do. Most of them much better than what I do. But for me, not many of them, I think, go as hard as what I do. I'm going to give you kind of like an outline of my typical week just so you can see the amount of like effort that I put into these videos, or like this career, I suppose, if you want to call it that. What I consider to be my hobby. But even with hobbies, I think we'll learn here that you can kind of go too far. And I told you guys so many times that the biggest thing that I struggle with in life is balance. I can never just do something a little bit. It has to be all or nothing. And my typical week is definitely one of those all weeks. Like I wake up, let's start off on Monday. First thing that we do Monday through Friday, every single day, because it has to be daily, is we do a live stream on brickitect Live, where it's like an hour each day, and we just sit here and vibe, and we build a Lego set and have a good time. So that's how the day starts. I already did one live stream, so there's like 5 hours a week of live streaming right there. And then throughout the day, Monday through Friday, I'm helping Clark with school. We're filming vlogs, which I love to do. And in the process of doing all these vlogs, I'm also editing a vlog, which they all tend to be like 15 minutes long. And it takes a long time to edit your entire day down to like 15 minutes of just like the highlights and like the adventure or the fun part. And to package that into something takes a lot of time. I'm also doing brickitect videos every day and uploading those and editing those every day as well. We're also doing Patreon stuff where we're doing live streams there, and that's at least 2 live streams, and I try to make videos there for those guys as well. And then after all of that is done and Friday night ends, like last night ended with a 2-hour live stream with the Patreon detectors, I wake up Saturday morning and it's like, all right, it's time to do Missing Pieces. And it's just like, I've got nothing left, you know, like I've talked about everything that I could possibly talk about. Like I just kind of need like some time just to be like, let's just chill. And Sundays I've kind of formed into that day for me where I can just like take the day off, which is why I move these up. But I guess the hard part of Missing Pieces is that I'm trying to find something that I'm passionate about talking about, but I feel like I've already just kind of, I've already given all that I have to give throughout the week in all these various locations. And it's a little tough. And again, I feel bad even talking about it because like old Greg and even current Greg would like kill to be able to do this and have the luxury of doing this. But nonetheless, like if you do something long enough and you kind of like, you get in that grind, eventually you're just kind of like, And the answer probably is for me to maybe cut some things back. Like, for example, those morning streams that I talk about every day that we do Monday through Friday, I should probably make that like once a week. Because financially, like if you were looking at this from a business perspective, which I should probably do more, instead of looking at things with my heart and being like, I love to do this, so I'm going to do it, which is probably where I'm going to continue to end up. I should think like, okay, these streams like literally earn no revenue. It takes 5 hours of my week, and I should probably just like cut that out entirely. But I love to do it. Clark loves to do it. I know there's a lot of people that enjoy watching those. But if you were to think about like a day of your life, would you go into a job for like, maybe let's say you went into a job on Monday morning and you were going to work, assuming that this is work, from like 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. and you were going to make maybe $5 from that. Would you take that job? You probably wouldn't. And if this was a job for me, that's exactly how I would think. And if I had like a business manager or someone that was like, if this was an actual company or a business, we would cut that like instantly. Even missing pieces. This is a tough thing to get people to actually want to watch. My channel has been built off of us having these fast-paced videos where it's like a lot of fun and they're like maybe like 5 minutes long, maybe 10 minutes on the longest end. But to have some peeps sit down for an hour to listen to what essentially is my audio journal and really not related to Lego, that's not something most people want to do. In fact, we're going to talk a little bit about this in my first topic of this week, which is a perfect segue. Let's talk about why you get clickbaited on YouTube. I want to talk about the last couple episodes of Missing Pieces since we're talking about the views and stuff here. So I'm going to go back 2 weeks ago to my episode which was titled Improvements and Setbacks. A very honest video, very much like this one is, and like they have been, hopefully from the beginning. 3,200 people watched that video, which is really great. Like that's a lot of people that are curious about just what I have to say, and I love that. It's awesome, and it really encourages me to want to do these. But the next week, last week's episode, instead of being titled Improvements and Setbacks, it was titled I'm Done Lying to You. That video got 4,500 views. So 1,300 more people decided to click I'm Done Lying to You than to click Improvements and Setbacks. Both of these videos were exactly the same. Both of them were talking about my week. Both of them were roughly an hour long. Both of them had basically the same thumbnail. The only difference is the title. Improvements and Setbacks. Not overly engaging, like, okay, I don't really care about that, but I'm done lying to you. You're like, oh, what's Greg been lying about this whole time? I knew it was too good to be true. And you click that video to find out what exactly I was lying about. And that, my friends, is the reason that clickbait exists on YouTube, because look how many more people wanted to watch the same exact video just with a different title. And I'm not trying to take advantage of you guys. It's just like, this was, to me, was more of an experiment than anything. And it kind of proved the conclusion that I always thought and why we hate YouTube so much with the clickbait titles. In fact, like there's people that I watch, like there could be a guy that he has a hangnail on his finger, and instead of titling the video, removing a hangnail from my finger, it's titled Worst Emergency Ever, Cops Called, Ambulance, like the thumbnail is like somebody on a stretcher. That is YouTube basically in a nutshell. And this is no more evidence than by some listener feedback that we got, which was from Just Mukio, who says, I haven't listened since episode 34. Last week was episode 72, so he's gone almost an entire year without listening to an episode of Missing Pieces. But I had some time on my hands, and the clickbait title got me. I have to say, I'm very glad it did. I love this podcast. It was nice to bring some more positivity to my day, and I hope I can get back to listening weekly like I used to. So that's all it took to get a person who obviously really enjoyed the episode. All it took was a clickbaity title to draw them in, and now this person's probably going to watch for maybe the next 30 episodes, or maybe it'll fall off and then I'll have to do something else where I show myself on a stretcher to get you to watch. I don't know, but YouTube's a crazy thing, and it just shows you the power of a thumbnail. Well, not necessarily a thumbnail in this occasion, but a title. How important is a name? It kind of goes back to what we were talking about in the beginning. Should this be titled Missing Pieces? Maybe it's Missing Pieces of My Life. Originally, the intention was for this to be like a Lego podcast with a little bit of my life mixed in. But as time goes by, I find myself being more passionate about maybe things outside of Lego, and just really wanted to like make this like my life's journey, which is what this channel has been. And that's kind of what Brad's Bricks has to say here with his feedback. He says, when I came across your channels, it was great that you mentioned Lego, but it wasn't why I subscribed. I found your life and relationship with Clarkman is way more interesting than having Lego mentioned. Is just an added bonus to the already fantastic content you create. I'm honored to have you as a friend, and the community you've built is like a tight-knit family. I'm glad I could be a part of it, and I wish I would have found it sooner. Great Missing Pieces episode. So thank you, Brad, for all the kind words. I appreciate that, and I'm happy to have you as a friend as well. But that's always what I've wanted out of this channel. Like the original intention was for me to rekindle my childhood passion for Lego and share that with the world. But as time went by and as Clark came along, it became about so much more than that. It wasn't just about the Lego. It was about the experience. It was about sharing that. It was about being a real person and sharing what it's like to be a Lego collector, not only with my son, but with you as well. And I came up with this idea, or like this saying this week, that I think could really apply to me and maybe you as well. And that saying is that Lego is the vehicle, not the destination. So my channel, brickitect, isn't really a Lego channel. It isn't like I'm sharing Lego reviews, news, and all the other things that you probably go to Lego channels for. It's about sharing our experience, our Lego collecting journey, and what that's like, and doing it on a very personal level. In doing so, I probably cause myself more harm than good, because if I were to do the same thing that everyone else does, I would probably have more success, which is why everyone does it. But what I find is that if you're not going to be the best at something, which I'm never going to be the best Lego reviewer, I'm never going to be the best Lego news guy, I'm never going to be the biggest Lego nerd that could tell you every little thing about Lego. The one thing I can be is authentic and share my journey with you. And these podcasts are an extension of that. And I think that's probably why people watch. Would this video get way more views if I said something about Lego? It would, because I've done episodes titled Let's Talk About Lego. And because of that, and maybe because of my audience, which is mostly younger people, I won't say kids in case the feds are listening, but they just want Lego for the most part. It takes a mature person, I feel like, to really want to sit down. And you can be a kid and be mature, but it takes a mature kid or person or old grandma to want to sit down and like be a part of this. And for that, I think it's awesome, and I'm happy to have you, because I would rather have a concentrated group of people that actually care about us, because I know that's what the case is, than just have people that want to casually come by and see what Lego news that I have to share. I don't want to offer a product. I'd rather be the product, if that makes sense. I know that sounds kind of like bad, but like I'd rather be about us than about the Lego. I'd like it to be a situation where I could literally never show Lego again on this channel, and people would still be interested in seeing what we're doing. And I think that's the case. Not to say that's going to happen. As long as I'm interested in Lego and Clark is, and we're having fun doing this channel's always going to exist in some form. But yeah, I don't know, I guess as time goes by, you just start thinking about like directions. And I have a lot of that going on in my mind right now with like directions that I want to go, especially with Clark going to school coming in the near future, possibly within the next month or so if he goes at the end of this year, which we're considering. And I'm thinking like, without like the remote learning kindergarten being like the focal point of my days, and like really focusing on showing what it's like to be a kid that's learning from home and to have their adventures with their dad and the fun things we do. It frees me up to do a lot of things, and it leaves me thinking like, what could I do? What could we get into, or I get into as a solo thing? And I don't know if Lego is going to be the entirety of that. I feel like there's so many other things out there that I want to learn and experience. And we're going to talk a little bit about that right now with some things that Clark and I have been getting into. Man, the segues are just flowing today. At least that's something, right? Like, and I find that just now that I'm down here doing this, I feel like I'm getting it. I'm not burnout. Okay, I'm not burnout. I got this. This is my favorite thing I do every week. And all it takes is, sometimes you ever have a lawnmower that you're trying to start and you're like pulling the thing, and it's like, yeah, this thing's never going to start. And you're priming it. Maybe you put like a little more gasoline in it, and then you pull it, and then it just fires up, and then you mow your whole yard in it. It's basically what today's episode is for me. And I'm feeling good about it. So let's talk about something that I've been really excited about this week in particular, and that has been enjoying YouTube videos with Clark Man. So to give you some backstory, I hurt my ribs a couple weeks ago, still hurting. I'm pretty sure I broke or fractured a rib. And I can only find comfort in sleeping on a recliner in our living room. I can't lay flat down because it's so painful. No matter which position I'm in, whether I'm on my back, side, stomach, it just sucks. So I've been sleeping on a recliner, and Clark has taken this opportunity to make it almost like it's like a camping adventure. So he's sleeping on the couch. And before we go to bed, we used to read every night, which was probably for the best. But before we go to bed every night now, we find some YouTube videos to watch. And what we found recently, we've been watching some art vids, and we've been really getting into clay sculpting. We found a couple channels that do this. We've watched all these different figures get made. Like we've watched Wolverine, Thanos, Iron Man. We've seen, you name it, like Darth Maul for you Star Wars detectors. We watched a ton of these videos. And it's been really fun to sit down and watch these with Clark. And it really got me thinking how much I appreciate it, because when kids are really little, they watch things that like only they would be interested in. And it's hard as an adult to get excited about, like PJ Masks or like kids shows in Disney Junior, Lion Guard, all the stuff that Clark was like super into. It's like as an adult, you're like, I'm not really down with that. But now that he's getting a little bit older and we're meshing into our tastes together, it's awesome for us both to sit down and watch a video and just love it. We found another art channel where a guy does like a lot of different paintings and stuff. And I've just really had fun doing this with Clark, man, and it's inspiring us too. And I'm like, okay, we love being creative with Lego. Maybe we could get into the art scene and do some fun stuff there. Maybe we get some clay and make some clay figures and paint them and stuff. Like, you never know where the world's going to take you, and these YouTube rabbit holes, as dangerous as they are, can sometimes be like one of the best things for for you mentally, right? Like, you feel like you're getting a little bogged down. Hey, here's a whole new thing that you could get into and try out, and like keeps things fresh and moving. And I've really been enjoying watching like improvement videos. Like, I've been watching this couple who's been renovating their farmhouse, and it was like a 23 episode series, and I've been enjoying that as well. I guess what I love to see, not only in clay but in videos like that of these renovations, I love to see the journey. Right? I think there's any one thing that we could define my interests in, it's in that journey. I like seeing something go from nothing and to see where it evolves over time. And I like being along for that, which is why I try to find channels that share that kind of stuff. Whether it's in a 10-minute clay video or over a series of videos that you recorded over 2 years of you taking your old dilapidated house and making it into something that you love. Or if it's you and your son who started building Lego together years ago, when he was sitting there putting minifigs together awkwardly, to all of a sudden being the primary builder while we're live streaming it. It's just wild to see that and to be a part of it. It's incredible. So I just thought I would share that. And another little story with Clarkman this week. We were about to have lunch one day, and I had the iPad out, and Clark wanted to know if we could watch something, and I was like, yeah, sure. And he clicked on this video that he found interesting, and it was this dude that is sharing like his video game collecting journey, right? And the idea behind it, I think, is that we only watched this one video, but I subbed to him. He started with $10, and he's starting to build up like this video game collection, like where he's buying stuff used and then selling it if he can sell it for more, and then using that money to buy more stuff, and just doing like a lot of flipping and whatnot. And I thought that was really intriguing too. I'm like, oh, I love this idea of starting with nothing and building up. And I guess as I'm realizing this right now, it really, for me, just comes down to the story that you can craft and the journey that you're on. That's why we watch movies. That's why we get engaged. That's why I think a channel like mine maybe has some chance of success, because it's not just a boom, boom, boom thing. It's like, oh, what's the next chapter? And I'd like to get better at that. I've told you guys my interest in getting better at storytelling. I'd like to maybe form my videos into being more of like a cohesive storyline throughout the week. And maybe instead of doing videos every day, maybe I'll make like one video a week that's a little bit longer, that's like a feature film almost of like the progression of things. And that's especially works well when you're working on a bigger set or something. So that's something I'm considering as well. I've got like so many things that are in my mind. I don't really want to share now because I'm still kind of in like the very beginning stages, trying to figure out the direction that I want to go, things that I want to do, moves that I want to make. And maybe everything will stay the same, but maybe everything will be different. I just am kind of plotting this, and when I go to sleep at night or when I'm just kind of closing my eyes, I start thinking about like, oh, what if I slid this over here? What if I cut this out entirely? What if this moved? What if, like, there's all this, and I think there's going to be some big changes. But I think they're going to be for the best, and I think you guys are hopefully gonna like where we're going with all these things. So, yeah, that's some fun stuff that happened this week, I guess. And another great thing that happened was I kind of found my way back into the world of gaming, as if I needed another thing. I already told you guys we're doing the live streams and doing the Patreon stuff. I'm uploading weekday vlogs of our life. I'm uploading Lego videos every day. Well, you know what you need when you're doing all that stuff? You need to add one extra thing in. So Clark enticed me back into the world of Minecraft, which, if it wasn't for him, and this is with like a lot of things, I wouldn't really be that interested. I'd probably never play Minecraft. But when I see him playing and he wants me to play, you get that controller in your hands and you start moving around. It's very easy to be like, okay, I'm addicted to this. And that's what happened this week. I started building a bunch of stuff in Minecraft Creative World, which is my favorite type of Minecraft. As much as I like survival mode, all I really want to do in survival mode is build like a nice cabin, have some animals overlooking a lake. I just want that. I don't want to like go beat the Ender Dragon. I just want to like be inventory manager. I live a very boring Minecraft life, but with creative mode, I love it because you can go in and your imagination is the only thing that holds you back with what you can make. And what I often do is I take requests for ideas from the stream as to what I can build, and then I go on and I build those things. So this week, inspired by Clarkman, I built Fat Steve, which was a fantastic build. I built Godzilla, and I also built Mario Kart, and I built a Twitch logo, and I blew up a YouTube logo. It was a whole thing at the time about moving over to Twitch, which I'm still pondering. Again, this is like all things that are in my web of big plans, big ideas. And there will be a Missing Pieces episode where I talk about all these things. I just need some time to figure it out because I don't want to say I'm going to do one thing and then a week later on a whim be like, yeah, I don't think I want to do that. I gotta get these things resolved and figured out. So one thing that I've done with these streams that's made them way more fun for me than they already were is I started playing music from my phone, going to a Bluetooth speaker, and then the microphone up here picks it all up. And it was really fun, like getting pumped up to play Minecraft through like epic tunes. And what I started doing, epic songs and tunes is soons, by the way. What I started doing was I put a little pinned comment on the stream that says, if anyone sends a super chat, you get a free song request for 99 cents or whatever. And people started doing it, and it was really fun. Like, it was a great way for people to support the stream. And instead of just getting like a thank you or whatever, you get like a song played, and it can be any song, assuming that it's like appropriate for Clark's ears, which everything has been so far. And it's been a blast, and people have really been digging it. We've had like I'd say a fair number of people watching the streams, considering that I put this on my gaming channel, which is a pretty small channel. It's been fun, and people really just love to see us play Minecraft. I'm literally just placing blocks in creative mode. But what happens though with that is that the videos get copyright flagged like immediately. That isn't to say that like I get fined or penalized in any way. It's just like if that video is going to exist in the world, the people that make money off of it are people that own the songs, which I guess is fair because I'm technically not using their money or their songs for profit, but their songs are definitely helping. So what I've decided to do is immediately when the stream's done, I remove the video. And because I'm streaming this from my computer, it records the entire stream that I'm doing to my computer. So what I decided to do is take the whole clip, which may be like an hour long, condense that down to 3 minutes, and then find a copyright-free song, and then do a time-lapse of my build, which is way more engaging to watch later than to watch an hour of us like block, block, block. Oh, I'm going to take that one out. Block, block, block. Nah, we need to move that. It's fun. So I think I found like the perfect balance on brickitect for us to do that going forward. And man, I've got big plans for gaming, whether it's on that channel or if I do something else. Again, something I'm still considering. I think gaming is going to be a big part of my life going forward. Obviously, streaming is going to be a big part of my life, even when I'm like doing solo stuff. Because I think about like when Clark goes to school. As sad as I'm going to be that he's gone, because we have a heck of a lot of fun, it gives me like 7 hours a day to be like, what are we going to do today, Greg? And I feel like in having that extra time and cutting like the big vlogs out, I think it's really going to help with like the whole burnout thing, because then it's not going to take as much time. I'm going to be able to get all of my work done like easily while Clark's at school. And then we can like film or do whatever he wants to do when he's home. If he want to make Lego videos, if he wants to do Minecraft streams, we can do that, right? And then we still have weekends to do stuff. We've got summers, of course. But even Missing Pieces will get moved to Friday. So Saturday and Sunday, I'm free, baby. Like that's it. So I think having like most people, I don't know how many people out there literally work every single day of their life. But if you're a YouTuber, sometimes you tend to do that. But again, I don't consider this work. And I know like this, I feel like I said in the beginning of this episode, I feel like bad even talking about this, because I think about past Greg, who worked at a job that he hated. He would have like killed for this life to be like, dude, I can literally just make videos like every day, all day. I'm going to do that. But you got to find balance. It's something that I don't know if I'm ever going to figure out. You got to find balance. You can't be like if this is me starting a live stream. Hey guys, I'm going to start doing a live stream. It's going to be every single day at 8 o'clock a.m. Why can't it just be like, hey, we might do it. We might do a live stream. We feel like doing a live stream, we'll do it. I give you guys suggestions on how to be successful. And I feel like consistency is one of those things. It's the reason this episode's happening today. Because had I gone with my first instinct today and been like, yeah, I'm not really feeling it, like I just kind of want to chill, this episode wouldn't have happened. And you guys on Sunday at noon would have been like, wait, where's the episode? You know, like people come to expect that. It's like a routine. And then like, what's to say the next week comes along and I'm like, well, and this happens to a lot of people on YouTube. I took last week off. It wouldn't hurt if I take this week off. I'll definitely make an episode next week. And then that's how a dead channel is created. And there's lots of dead channels on YouTube. I find Lego channels all the time that they're there and then poof, they're gone. And like sometimes I'll go through and I'll do like a purge. But it's always interesting then like someday you'll see a Lego channel come back and they're like, I'm back after like 2 years. And then they disappear again for like another 2 years. And it's just, I don't know if they get that in their mind. They're like, okay, we're going to fire this up again. And then you don't. That's why consistency and just showing up is the number one thing. Because look at me today. I feel like this episode's gone okay. I don't know what your feedback is on it. I'd love to hear it, or feedback on anything that I've talked about. But yeah, it's, it feels good doing this, and you just got to push yourself sometimes. It's like anything that is against seeking comfort. That's our number one need as humans, or our one as humans. Seek comfort. It's much easier to lay on your couch under a blanket and watch YouTube than it is to come down and fire up all this stuff and sit in this chair and talk to you guys about my life and try to do that in a coherent way. That's much more complicated. So we seek comfort. You want to do the easy thing, and you have to be motivated in some way to do the thing that's a little bit harder, whether it's a financial motivation, whether it's fulfillment, whether it's a basic need, like you have to eat, you need water to drink, like you have to get out of that chair somehow. You just have to find a reason to do it. And I hope it's a mixture of maybe all of those things, with the fulfillment thing being like the thing that you're always trying to quest for, right? And that's what I get out of this. This is why it's my favorite thing that I do every day. This is why on Saturdays, or used to be Sundays, I would want to come down here and do this, because it's fulfilling. The issue that I'm running into is I'm doing it so many other places that fulfillment is like getting like leached out into these other realms. And then when it comes to Saturday, it's like, well, I've already said everything I need to say, but I know for a fact, that there's people that really enjoy listening to these and to be a part of this. And maybe it gets you thinking about your life. Maybe it's just like, you're just interested about mine. I wish there was a category in podcasting called vlogs or journals or something, where I could just hear people talk about their life, because regardless of what they're into or what they're about, if you start to get to notice somebody, and you're like, oh, so that happened last week, what's going on this week in this guy's life or this girl's life? It's intriguing. You get to know them, their family members. I've had a guy that did this a long time ago. It was called Pursuing a Balanced Life, which is ironic because I feel like we're in the same boat. And he would just talk about his week. He would go on a walk with like a recorder, and he would talk about his week. I mean, you'd hear cars going by, you'd hear birds, dogs, and stuff. But it was like super authentic, and it was just really fun to like know what was going on in his life that week. And I might take this episode on the road one of these days. I would love to maybe go out, like say Clark is in school. It's a Friday. It's beautiful outside. Why not get like a really nice recorder? There would be no video with it, which would be unfortunate, but what are you really missing out on here? And just, hold the recorder as I walk down the path, and maybe have Roxy bear with me, and we just talk about things like this. It'd be hard to have an outline, but as a nice flow of consciousness, it can be something. And other podcasting ideas, I'll share this one with you guys since we're here. I started thinking about a podcast that Clark and I could do from the car, because how many times are you driving? And it's like, yeah, we're kind of just wasting time here. Or maybe we're listening to a podcast or music. Wouldn't it be kind of cool if we just fired up a show from the car? And I was thinking about getting that like equipped to do that. And that idea that I had for a title, I won't tell you the title because I don't want somebody to go out and gank it, although it's not like overly specific. But I thought, if I pick Clark up from school, it'd be fun to just sit down and we talk about his day or my day, and we vibe like that, or anytime really. I just love this format. I love podcasting. I like chatting with you guys, even though like there's no one there on the other side of it right now, but I know that you will be there in the future. And I would do these live, but I know I would be like so distracted by what people are saying, and I feel like it would really skew the narrative of what I'm going for here. So that's why I like doing just like the feedback that we get. And this week I'm gonna keep this one short. I feel like I've talked about what I need to talk about, but I do want to share a win of the week. And I love this one because it is very much like what I seek in life, and that's a nice story. And this one has a lovely story, and it starts off. This is from the Dr. K9. And he warns me. He says, "Hey, Greg, long comment incoming." And as soon as I heard that, I'm like, all right, let's get into this. He says, "Long time listener, 2 to 3 years, and I recently started watching your main channel videos, which I much enjoy." Well, thank you, sir. First time caller. My name's Evan. I'm almost 17, and 2020 was a great year for me because I got back into Lego, specifically Ninjago. That's a crazy thing to hear. I feel like 2020 was a great year for me as well, outside of wanting to travel and go on vacations, but most people think 2020 is a write-off and like the worst thing that ever happened to them, but there were some good things, like getting into Ninjago. He says, "Now I know you've been straying away from talking about Legos so much in the podcast, and that's not necessarily true. It's just it's not been where my life has been the last few weeks. There's been so much going on outside of that Lego isn't occupying that space for me. And it could just be a chapter that I'm in. I know I'm kind of breaking your thing up here, but I feel like we can make this interactive. Dr. K9. Lego, just where I'm at right now, it's not like the chapter that I'm in. I'm in other things. Will it go back to Lego? Will there be an episode where I spend 2 hours talking about Lego? Probably not, but there might be more. But I like that you're introducing some Lego into this, since this is going out to Lego people that are hopefully here for more than that. He says, I wanted to share some wins of the week and I need a little background. By the way, I personally love the advice and talks you give, and that's the main reason I love the podcast. Lego is just what brings us all together. I love that. Remember, Lego is the vehicle, not the destination. Anyways, in quarantine, I spent a lot of time piecing some old sets together at my dad's house, and I got super obsessed with Ninjago again. I had watched the show and collected most of the sets starting from the very first year of the show up until about 2017. Ninjago City was one of my last builds and big buys of Lego until 2018, where I got the movie Destiny's Bounty for my birthday, thinking it was a great set to be my last Ninjago set. You went in your dark age, my friend. Happened with me too. I ended up having, I got all the Western sets back in 1996, 97. I know I'm old. And that was it. I built those, enjoyed the heck out of them, played with them like crazy, set up like a whole town, and then it was like, okay, I guess I'm not a kid anymore, and I need to be like an adult at 13 years old, like an idiot. He says I had grown away from the hobby, and after 10 years of loving it, started to move on. But last year, I got every single one of my old Ninjago sets back together and put up even more shelves. Hold on. I'm butchering this. I'm sorry. If I read your comment poorly, it's all me, not you. Put up even more shelves in my room at my mom's to display them next to my other Ninjago sets that had been built that I got after my parents split in 2015. Now, for the past year, I've been collecting old sets and minifigs that I missed out on and all the recent ones. As you mentioned recently, Bricklink and eBay are dangerous places. However, getting 2 jobs about 4 months ago has helped fund my addiction. Now, my win of this week is that I had searched Bricklink and eBay to see how much for the 6-year-old set was going for nowadays, and I came across what I thought was a too good to be true listing. It had 6 Ninjago sets, some minifigs, and a few of the original Ninjago spinners for just $50 with shipping. I'd messaged the seller to make sure it was all included and then immediately purchased it. I was pleased to find out when I got it a week later that everything was there and I had scored $200 retired sets for a quarter of the price. Stoked about that. I already had some of the sets that were included, but 4 were new and the minifigures were very good. I spent my Valentine's Day building the brown bear set that I got my girlfriend together with her. Spending time with loved ones is the most important thing in life, and I've recently learned to never forget that. I love it. One more thing. I wanted to add to the topic of keeping things sealed versus opening them. Collecting old sets is sometimes hard to pay 3 times the original price for something that I crack the seal to build and enjoy it. But what's the point if I don't do that? I never plan on selling these sets, as I hold the theme of Ninjago very close to my heart, and it's played a major role in my life. So if they're ever going to be mine they're going to be mine for the rest of my life, then I'm going to open them and enjoy them to the fullest, even if that's just looking beautiful on display. I love this feedback. I love this one of the week. This is like you just explained your entire Lego collecting journey in literally one comment. Talked about your love of Ninjago, how you collected it forever, how you fell out with that, and then you kind of got back into it. I picture you maybe going into the room and you pop open the tote with all the sets and they're all broken apart and you're like, I'm going to get back into this. This would make a great video or a great movie. And then you put them together and you're like, I'm going back in. You get yourself a job. The money starts coming in. You start buying stuff. I picture you going and looking on eBay. I see you sitting at your desk or maybe on your phone and you're like, oh, wow, that's a great deal. You message the seller, he hits you back, and then you buy it and you get that and you're so excited. I love that. And I love how you finish this with talking about how it's the people and it's not the items in our life that's important. It's spending time with loved ones. It's the things that you can't get back later. And speaking of that, I want to share a message. This is a follow-up message from someone that messaged last time with Eli. If you guys remember last week's episode, he sold his Lego collection to get a engagement ring for his girlfriend, now fiance, and she said yes. And I asked him to reply back to me, and this is kind of along the same lines. Eli says, "Hey Greg," Eli here again. "First things first, you're welcome for the long comment. The future missus and I are getting married." She said yes, but I was really beyond nervous. Like you said, Lego can be replaced, and I definitely made the correct decision. Like you're talking about, I came here for the Lego, but I stayed because of who you and Clarkman are. You guys model what I want my relationship with my son or daughter to be like. You're always so positive and open, and I really appreciate it. Hope the ribs heal quickly. And oh man, I appreciate you saying that. I'm so happy for you, the guys getting married, and that Lego collection will come back. Don't worry. It was just a temporary setback. You got the thing you really needed to get in life. The other stuff it'll come back to you naturally, and you'll find it. No worries. But I love what you said there at the end, and this is kind of, I guess, the whole message of this episode is that it doesn't have to be about Lego. Lego isn't the destination, it's the vehicle, and that's what I hope you got. Hope you guys got in the car that is Lego and drove over here and found something more than what is just some plastic pieces in a box with more plastic. It's a whole thing. It's a collection. It's a journey. It's life. It really is. It's such a big part of our life, and it's awesome to be able to share that with you guys. And I appreciate you, everyone, so much for listening into this episode. I know it's a little bit shorter one. I see lots of peeps get excited with like the hour-long episodes, and you're like, yes, I got something to do. But this one I feel like is a little short and sweet with a little bit of a message, hopefully, that you got something from. If you would like to comment on this episode, I would appreciate that, so I can talk to you next week. If you want to support this episode, there's a couple, or this whole entire series, there's a couple ways to do that. You can support us on Patreon, which is where you can get access to exclusive videos and live streams that you can't find anywhere else. In fact, today, in about an hour and a half from now, I'm actually going to be doing a build with all the Patreon peeps of this set right here. This is, if you're listening, this is 60253 Ice Cream Truck. We have about 20 some people going to be tuning in to build this together. I don't know how that's going to go. It might be a little crazy, but we're kind of expecting that, and I think it's going to be a fun time. It's an amazing community over there. We've got a Discord going, which I love to look at every day, chatting with people, and it's just like it's like a family. It's like what Brad said earlier. He's a part of the community, and it's awesome. So I'd really appreciate it if you support us over there. It's $5 a month if you want to join that and be a part of all that. It goes a long way, and I just super appreciate that. I do have some Patreon thank yous that I guess I'll save for next week, so we'll put those out there. And other than that, if you want to rate us on Apple Podcast, if you want to leave reviews anywhere, but most of all, in terms of supporting this podcast, if that's something that you want to do, all I ask is that, unlike Mukuo, who waited 40 weeks to come back to us because of a clickbait title, all I ask is you come back next week and see where the journey takes us. Hopefully that's something you want to do, and I guess on that, we'll find you in the next Missing Pieces.